New hair, new set, new season. We back, bitches! Welcome back to another season of Jogia with KayRay. I just want to thank each and every one of you that has been listening, that has been watching, and seeing this platform grow in so many different avenues, in so many different ways, and having so many amazing guests. I can't wait for you to meet all the beautiful guests we have this season. I am excited to see how far Jogia goes and what conversations we have. Please join the conversation with your cup of tea. With this new season, I have to give a huge shout out to my entire team because without them, this would not have been able to happen. I have to give a huge shout out to our main sponsors, Spacebar Co-working, which is a co-working space that we had the opportunity to make KayRay Co our first home. It was the first place we had our office and really built our business. It's also the new home of Jogia. Spacebar Co-working functions as a home to many creatives, coaches, freelancers, and more. With a variety of membership options to pick from, you can begin networking and planning workshop events with a click. If you haven't noticed, look at this set. It's a whole ass living room, y'all, and like, it's not a joke. So we have to give a shout out to our decor sponsor. We would like to give a shout out to the Eastern Bazaar. With a holistic approach to life, they offer a variety of crystals. I mean, check out these crystal coasters, y'all, for your Jogia. With every purchase you make, you plant a tree. It's beautiful, y'all. I also gotta give a shout out, cause you know, I don't look like this on my own. So shout outs to my glam squad at Juppe for the stylist, cause y'all, this wardrobe does not play. We gotta give a shout out to our stylist, Gagan. Now I'd like to introduce our first guest for this Jogia season. One is an actor, a singer, and now an author. And the other is a music producer and composer. And a composer. Together they make up St. Ivory. They also happen to be great friends of mine. Please welcome Avan and Ketan Jogia.
Hello.
Hey! You like our mini audience or what?
Yeah, I like the studio audience.
What's going on?
Thanks for being here, you
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I mean, y'all are about to go on a flight, but
Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're in Toronto. We're
is
doing
this
it.
on tour right now?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a tour. That was a book tour that turned into we didn't know really what to do with the book tour.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do a music tour.
I know. It
Yeah.
was just like comboed it. We wanted to kind of do something a little bit different. I mean, people do poetry, music together, I think, but we wanted to do it a little bit differently.
And you do it really well.
Ah,
Yeah, I saw the videos.
You saw-
I came late to the show, but
That's okay.
that's okay.
But you
Yeah.
read it all
I read
last
it
night.
all last night, so that's all that
in one
matters.
sitting,
In one
which
sitting.
is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
for me? But look,
Yeah,
I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about this first.
Yeah,
before we get started.
this is a special situation.
A little, you go check
that.
in, you'll punch in on that. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean,
Three of
that's.
us?
I was just saying earlier. That's very accurate.
Yeah. I mean, that's us.
Yeah. All of us,
It's all of us,
Wow.
guys.
Damn.
friends.
It's friends
The
for
three
life.
best friends that anyone could
Remember
ever
we're
have.
supposed to start a band together, you
Oh,
guys?
yeah.
We gotta do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And you gotta do- you gonna
That's
do
it.
rap?
This is it. This
Is
is
it?
me trying to introduce a band. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yo, this is
That's it.
great.
And that could be our album cover right
Yeah,
there.
look at me all.
Did you sip this?
That's it.
It's great. Amazing.
Yo, this is great. Did you sip this?
It's great.
Did you sip this? Did you sip this?
Okay, so this is a very narcissistic question,
Mm-hmm.
but I've started on Jogia and now it's been a tradition. How did you meet KayRay?
How do we make KayRay?
To this man.
Yeah,
I think
we
so,
like
yeah,
each other.
that's
yeah.
right.
Well, basically, I was like, I wanted to try to cut some records, like not in Vancouver or LA where I usually do stuff. And so we're like, let's do it in Toronto.
Yeah, and I'd
Who do
never
we
been
know
to
in
Toronto.
No one. But one
Yeah.
person
One person.
Which
and
opened up the door
which
to
brought in like all
50
these.
other people.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
That's
Which we
so
didn't
nice
really-
to
You're the
hear.
access
Yeah.
point. You're our
Yeah.
Toronto plug.
Toronto guy.
the Toronto plug, what's
I
up?
feel like this promoter all the time. Like I feel like this sleazy agent that just tells
You're
people,
the,
hey guys.
yeah.
That's a look. It's
Let me
vibes.
tell you about Toronto.
Also, you were doing the scoring for Anarchly. That's
Oh
another
yeah,
thing
that was a
we
lot
were
of fun,
saying.
and thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
It's really
no,
great,
of
and a lot of songs were in that I put together, which was fun.
I remember when we first met, y'all had some strange names coming up for your duo.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Blood Orange.
No, that's
Well,
that's a real
that's
band.
a
That's a real thing.
That's a
yeah.
real band. That's
No, but
Blood
you
Orange.
said something like that.
So we liked the name Blood Orange, obviously.
Yeah.
Every night that we were writing the album, we would go out afterwards and we just go around
Write down like
town.
5 band names
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
wake up in the morning and be like, those are all bad.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that one is okay. Sadhu Ivory didn't really work the same way, and so we like Saint as like a kind of a strong mythological, not like religious, but at least holy sort of energy.
Yeah.
And then Ivory came about just because also my grandmother has lots of, back when it wasn't illegal, and you just have like 1 or 2 pieces like ivory, jewelry and stuff like that.
Well, your family's from
Africa.
Africa.
Yeah,
which
East
is
Africa.
awesome.
East Africa.
Yeah.
And so that was,
Kenya,
we
Uganda.
sort of wanted to, Kenya, Uganda, we sort of wanted to like reference that. And so like the combination of those 2 things is sort of where the name came from.
How would you guys describe your sound now that you've been building together and making
We've been having
music?
so much trouble with this, man.
I know, I'm sorry,
No,
guys.
no,
I
you
know.
asked the
No,
question,
this
but
is
this
the
is that we need an answer for this.
We didn't prepare for this.
You know what?
To be fair, we just showed up.
Whatever, man. So you're figuring it out
No,
right
no,
now.
I love it. I think alternative hip hop and R&B is technically where we sit with this.
umbrella?
With
Yeah.
this.
Okay, so we'll get to this when we start talking about the book.
Yes.
When we start labeling
Labeling, yeah.
things, we then limit what it can be. St. Ivory's alt hip hop and R&B. It's like, well, then now I can't do folk shit. Like I want to be able to do whatever.
I want us to
one
dive
thing
into
about-
trip hop and other things that are a little more
Yeah.
off the beaten path.
The thing about you guys is that you guys have like such a different sound. It's like its own electronic type of cool. Yeah, it feels like
Vibes.
it's vibes. It's called, that's what it is, eh?
Yo,
That's
what
just
kind
like
of music
vibes.
you make, man? I just make vibes,
Nice
yo.
vibes, yo. That's
What are you wearing tonight, Kanye? Vibes. Vibe. Man, I just make vibe, yo.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Yeah.
vibes.
She's from the wind, she says.
With a gentle breeze.
Miss Universe is out now.
Yeah,
man.
we did the live version of that song off
Yeah.
the floor
Yeah,
there
that
in the
was cool.
studio. It was
Yeah.
fun.
And we recorded and we're like, wow, we make a little video. And so I made again, this is how small the production is, guys. It's just me and Ketan.
You know
I
what?
made that video by my damn self. Overnight, for like
4 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there with him, just on the phone, just
so
like
exhausted,
working on
trying
stuff.
to like get. And by the way, we're prepping for a tour at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like
We have to
everything-
leave the next morning at like 8 o'clock.
I
in the
gotta
morning.
do this. What you've got here, I gotta do all
Yeah.
this.
When did you guys decide that for each other though? Like when did you?
We've been
think-
making music for like 10 years.
We've been
Yeah?
writing a lot, and
Okay.
always, Avan and I have always had music as a connecting point between both of us. I mean, we have many things that we love together, but music has always been a huge one for us.
Yeah, it's like an entertaining night in the Jogia household is
Listening.
is going and making music all night. The creative relationship is incredibly easy, I think, because obviously we're brothers and there's a closeness there. But also like that doesn't always mean
You can work
you
together.
can work together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And
like,
that was actually my next question is like, how has this helped strengthen your relationship with one another? Because I feel like you've been close, based on your book, you've been
Yeah.
close all your life, but like now you're working together as well, you're touring together, which is
yeah.
a whole different life. So what's it like to do that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
this is an incredibly beautiful and emotional time for me. Like being able to do that with each other, like this is something we'll have as a thing together as brothers for like
Forever.
forever. I want to build out things that will actually matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Like connections with my loved ones that
Yeah.
will actually matter and stand the test of time versus like just making shit to make shit.
And when did you decide that you were ready to make music as your career?
I've always had an inkling for it. I think it was when I was younger. It was weird. There was this weird video game that was on Xbox, and I can't remember.
Funkmaster Flex.
Funkmaster Flex.
Was it?
Yeah, like it was a
Okay.
weird little.
It was a music creation game on Xbox.
Yeah, it was like one of those weird games that you could make beats in it. It was the user interface was absolute
Super
shit.
simple.
You couldn't do it anything really.
You make 3 types of beats.
I mean, you could do it, but it would just
That's
take
it, man.
forever.
You're still making it though.
It would just take forever to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think I remember a point of where I was making songs and then I was spending like 12 hours a day just looking at this machine, just like playing around, making beats, and I made like 5 songs over the course of like a month, and I would just listen to them all the time on the machine. I was just like play them back over and over. I'm like, this is cool. This is cool. I made that happen out of nothing. Out of nothing. This is just it was sort of an they call aha moment, I guess.
I think it's interesting when you talk about how the path to deciding fully that like, oh, I'm a musician. You've been playing around with the idea of being a musician for like the better part of 9 years, 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
And I wonder what you think about. I'm going to interview.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, go ahead.
Switch it around. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I want.
What's up?
I wonder if you,
Post.
what your feelings are about that as far as like the artist's journey, especially when you're talking about expectations and like what you should be doing as a young person, all that stuff, and like, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, and then realizing that music has always been there for you.
Yeah. What's the question?
The question is, I guess the question, you've jumped around to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I find that maybe that would be helpful for other people who are creative, especially young brown kids who have expectations from their families or whatever, or what
For
they're
sure,
supposed to be
for
doing,
sure, for sure.
and have been secretly harboring like artist feelings
Yeah.
and haven't been able to really express that. You know, I think
agree.
you can speak to that.
I don't come from that exact same situation. We definitely had an open house on that.
Parents, yeah.
Parents on that world, and I think it did shape the way that we do stuff for sure. And I need to acknowledge that before giving any advice.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there are these expectations that are imposed in culturally, and I think it's important to acknowledge them and see them. But also, if you have something that need or burned, like to get to do it, to do something about it. I don't think you should ever suppress it. I think you should really try your best to bring it into the fold. And maybe it's a way of communicating with your family and your friends about it, but if it doesn't, that's okay too. If they don't get it, they don't get it. That's okay. You know, we talk with our Ba and Bappa, and you know, bless their souls, they love what we're doing, but they don't really get it.
Till this day, my dad's like, so what do you do? What do I tell people? I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
That's what matters.
That's what matters, and so there's
Exactly.
this
What do I
tell
cultural
people?
thing
What do I tell
around
people?
that, and I think we can free ourselves from that a little bit. As
Literally,
we go.
until I wrote the book, I don't think my grandparents really were like, because they can like wave a book, like always an author.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe
There's a
that's
product
something.
here.
Well, there's
Yeah,
probably it's also
yeah.
it also lies in the world of
Academia.
Exactly.
right?
So
And
they're like,
so-
oh, a smart person,
Yeah.
educated person wrote
Yeah,
the
yeah,
book.
yeah,
yeah.
By the
Oh.
way, that's not required to write a book. Just so anyone.
Yeah.
there.
You're smart, write a book.
You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to be smart to write a
No,
book.
no.
I'm living-
Famously so, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you think about an experience or a passion from a growth mindset, you are thinking about the learning experience along
You're
the way.
obsessed with
You're
the
obsessed with
learning.
the learning and the mistakes around that, and you know that you don't walk into it immediately and it's going to be good. You know that it'll take a long time to do the way you want it to be.
Right.
And a fixed mindset around subjects like this have sort of a romanticized version of what that could be. So they think about, I want to do this, and then
As soon as they pick it up and it
then
doesn't fulfill that,
they
put it
build
down.
this story in their brain of how it's going to be, and then you get there and you're like, oh, there's a lot more work required. Be self-aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And well, not all of us are trying, but this idea is to strive to do that.
Exactly.
And if you could just look at yourself once in a while and go, you know, I've made some mistakes, or I've done this. Can I face them? And it's a very easy thing to say, not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. I agree.
But I think that if we can all try to, and if we can all find help along the way to do that, that's where you can really make progress.
There's so many times where like people tell you that you should just focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that as
Okay,
well.
yeah.
I have this habit of, you know, being the jack of all trades.
Yeah, master of none.
Master of
That's
none.
the feeling.
But a lot of people tell me, hey, just focus on one thing and then you'll make it in that. But I don't really truly believe that. I think if my heart desires to do something else, I would love to do that. And I think you have done a great job of just leading with curiosity in any place that wants to, you know, you want to explore for yourself and your spirit. And I think it's so amazing that you do that. Honestly, you inspire me.
Oh.
Whenever I honestly, no, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not trying to pump you at all. Like,
What was that? Say it one more time.
I really feel that you have this like desire to do all these great things, and you do it, and you don't hold yourself back to it. And if you don't want to do it, you don't do it, which is amazing. So what was it like for you to like, you know, take on that and not listen to all
The chirping.
yes.
You know, I think it's important for everyone to decide what your superpower is and where your energy comes from.
Yes.
My energy comes from chaos. You know, I need to set fire to some stuff and then have a fire to put out.
Right.
So like, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna write a book in a year. I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm doing. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh. And then I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to. Oh, I think we should cut a record in Toronto in like a month. Do you want to go do like? I need to set like my creative energy comes from setting fires in chaos. Some people say creative energy comes from diligence and sitting down and chipping away at the
discipline.
marble and discipline, chipping away at the marble. That's not my skill set.
Yeah.
So I think also it's not necessarily about being one particular way. It's about discovering where your power comes from.
Absolutely.
And then like doubling down on that. You say like, you're like, I'm like an agent, a sleazy agent. Like you are the glue.
Yeah.
That's your superpower.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to double down on that superpower. You got to
Do it.
double down on it.
Do it.
Do it. Like educational system and a lot of things, like they're like, okay, get better at what you're bad at.
No.
I'm bad at that.
Yeah.
Let that be bad.
Yeah.
You know, at some point I'll collaborate with somebody who can fill those gaps for me. No, double down on what you're good at.
And then be good at that, and maybe it's not just one thing, it's like 3 or 4 things, but you don't really
Right.
know until you start
That's
being
actually-
curious and trying.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
way of explaining it, because even in school, you're taught so many different subjects.
Like, hey, you're bad at math.
Exactly.
Be better at math.
Yeah.
No.
And you're graded based on that, and it's like you're making me feel like I'm not good at
I'm great
anything.
at English.
You know
I
what
want to
mean?
become. I'm good at English. I want to become great at English. I'm
Yeah.
going to spend more time on that. And I think that when
Exactly.
when I have 5 things that like I write, I direct, I do music, I paint, and
Act.
I act. Yeah.
That's the
main.
original.
That's the OG thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do all this stuff, right? And sometimes something takes a back seat, but I'm always meditating on every one of these 5 aspects.
Yeah.
I think also in this day and age, the master of the craft, the maestro, is not as important as the person who has something interesting to say. I could be a master painter,
Right.
but if I'm painting landscapes of southern Italy, it's not impactful.
Right.
No.
It's not socially impactful.
It was
doesn't
maybe at one point in
Yeah.
like
But even
eras
then,
ago.
Southern Italy.
When
Yeah.
Southern
Ooh,
Italy
speaks to me.
beautiful.
was very relevant. It was the only place to
It is a
go.
relevant place.
Yeah.
like what you actually want to say,
Yeah.
because that's the only thing that'll resonate with an audience.
Yeah, you just kind of like spill everything out, and then you just pull back and spill everything out and pull back, and
Yeah.
you continue that ruminating process on the back end.
You eat the food, you digest it, you sit with it, you throw it all back up, and you look through it, and you go this, and you go, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. That's
Put it
actually
back in
good.
my mouth.
There you go.
It's really
Good.
fucking gross.
Yeah, that's gets really good. And eat it again. And, yeah. No,
So
but
maybe not exactly that.
it's exactly
Not
like that.
that
And
analogy,
I want.
but
Yeah. No, it's exactly
makes
like that. I
sense.
won't hear anything else. About it.
You, of course, are famously known to be on Nickelodeon show,
Yes.
Victorious.
Yes.
Most actors kind of go around, that if they started off on a kid's show, it's difficult for them to transition to adult roles. And I think you've been so graciously accepting of that era of your life. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
I mean, I think much is made about, kids television, it's like, a trap, and it's like a, this sort of box that you get put into, and then you can't get out of it. My experience is not that. I never really was infatuated with the fandom around anything like that. To me, what's interesting is the work as an actor. When Victorious ended, I continued to work on being a better actor.
Exactly.
Everyone's concentrating on the delivery and how it gets out to people, but no one's concentrating on what you actually do. And I like to think of myself as like a woodworker. I want to make a better chair.
Yeah.
Every character, I want to make a better chair. So I need to practice. I need to know how to use my instruments. I knew how to use my tools. I need to be familiar with different types of wood. I just want to get better and better and better at the craft and the vocation of acting. I wasn't satisfied with having followers on Instagram, which is what that world promotes,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Nickelodeon, Disney, and just the larger world in general of pop culture is like the followers are what matters, the likes are what matters.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
fall
matters.
into this sort of vanity project a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
vanity circle, and you're
Yeah.
and you get obsessed with that. And look, this stuff is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's important post having actually something to offer.
Exactly.
Yeah, and-
I
or
agree with you.
You have to get better in order to get better
You
parts.
get caught up in that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
2019 is a big year for you. You're in so many shows and so many movies, and it's pretty fabulous.
Cool.
You were in Shaft this year.
Yes.
You
that
were
was fun.
in Now Apocalypse.
Yes.
Now out Zombieland.
Yeah, hey,
Double tap.
Zombieland too. Go check it out.
Make sure you guys go watch it in theaters.
My sister is gone. She picked up a boy. He's from Berkeley.
Berkeley.
You don't have weed, do you?
Do I look like the type of person that would have weed?
I'm sorry.
Boom. Yeah.
Can you share what that's like for you and how all these characters allowed you to explore different parts of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy year as far as types of parts that I got to play. Doing something like Shaft with Samuel Jackson, that's
Yes.
really fun, and I have 20 minutes to make the audience care about me before, spoiler alert, I go away, and so yeah, go away. And then with Zombieland, it's like comedy, right? So it's
Yeah.
really, really fun to be able to to like, you know, riff with like, you know, Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg,
Yeah.
Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin. Like these are great actors, and like be able to riff with them is fun, right? With comedy, you get a script, you come there, and then everyone knows the script is there, but then you have to make the funny happen.
Yeah, yeah.
In the, you know what I mean? Like it's like the script is there,
It's a
but the script is
different vibe.
usually not that funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a jump off point at some
Exactly.
point.
It's like it's like a jump off point. It's like usually funny, but like the situations are funny, but like the funny comes from like trying to like one up each other on set and trying to like make
Find
that.
your moments as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So like that's a whole new skill set for me.
I just wanted to talk about now Apocalypse a little bit, just about how fluid the sexuality was in the show, and it wasn't like talked about. You know what I mean? It was just normal in that world, in that universe. I wanted to know if there was a lot of questioning for you. Why wasn't an LGBTQ plus person casted? And obviously, this will now kind of mesh into your book as well. What was that like for you to like hear that, or you know, people questioning that? Because I think the show is beautifully done and beautifully directed, and you did an excellent job portraying the character. But I think people have this notion that an actor now in this day and age has to be that person in real life.
I think that like sexuality doesn't have a look, right? So
Exactly.
everyone, it's different than race in this regard. But to
Right.
be fair, in the same regard, I had a lot of hesitations about this, taking the part for this very reason.
Exactly.
And Greg Araki, who's a queer person of color filmmaker, was like, kind of like talked me off the ledge because he really wanted me to do it. And he was like, look, at the end of the day, this character's queerness is an aspect of who they are. But that's like 10% of the 90% of who this person is. And the other 90% of who this person is, you in your spirit fit for this person. So I really want you to do it, right? In other situations where it's big market movies or whatever, it's like you know, they're like, oh, that's a star. And so like that's who gets to play the lead part, right?
Right.
I'm not that guy. It's not like, you know, it's like not like I'm Benedict Cumberbatch, you know what I mean? Like me getting in the show, it doesn't really make the show's gonna get made regardless without me, you know? And so, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
But he did write you in mind.
Right, he wrote with me in mind, and that's because, you know, he obviously thought that my character's essence was correct for the part. You've seen it with race as well back in the day.
Yeah.
You get to these bigger parts and you have like, you know, Captain Nemo, which is a famously Indian character in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They're like, well, we need to get this movie made. We need stars, so it's now not gonna be a brown guy. It's gonna be, you know, like William Shatner or some shit, you know. So when it comes to race, the misstep is obvious. If this was a story about someone coming out and the pains, I would never feel comfortable.
Right, of course, right.
But it's not about his queerness. It's
No.
about aliens in Los Angeles and a group of friends. Like it's a crazy show about, you know what I mean? Like Greg knows what he's doing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
He knows what he needs and wants, and I would love to, and I'm honored to just even be a part of that.
Thank you for addressing all of that, by the
Yeah,
way. I mean,
yeah.
it's important because I feel like, you know, we're so in PC culture right now, and like, I think it's this bringing up these conversations with actors. I mean, Bollywood does it all the time. You see Shah Rukh Khan playing a Sikh and then a Christian, and then, you know what I mean? But it's like, what does that really mean? When does the boundaries cross? When, you know what I mean?
There is so much nuance to this,
Exactly.
and this is all very new.
Yes.
So like right now, this could be perfectly fine for me to play somebody when I've had the blessing of the creator who is a queer person of color. It might not be okay in 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I can't work backwards. That's not how like life
exactly,
works.
right.
But what I can do is go respectively from era to era, asking the questions of the day. Okay, so what is the questions of the day? The questions is like of representation and people being represented on screen accurately.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm with that. How can I support that? 90% of the people in the 90s who were doing shit, they didn't think that was ever going to be wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't like, you know, this is fucked up, but we're going to do it anyway.
Oh my
they
God.
weren't thinking that.
If you look at Netflix now, because Netflix has all these old shows from the 90s,
Yeah.
and they're getting reamed from like millennials that are like,
Yeah.
nah, this isn't right, which is
It's not true, but it's like that. It's context.
Yeah,
they didn't know.
They didn't know, and I'm like, the 2000s was a weird time.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah, man. Dude, look. When I first, you have to remember.
This is a weird time.
This is a weird time.
I've been acting
It's
for.
always going to be a weird
It's gonna be a
time.
weird time next.
I've been acting for a decade. You have to
Yes,
remember, like
yeah.
12 years. So
Yeah.
when I started, like there were only Indian geeky parts.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was the only parts that I had available to me. or I was playing ethnically ambiguous.
Yep.
So like, you know, as long as you never saw my parents, I could get the part. I'm not, you know, as soon as like it's about Tom Cruise and, you know, Katie Holmes and their son,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm not getting that son
Yeah,
part.
yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
even like, let's not waste my time.
Yeah.
Of course, not when I was a kid, I didn't think that. I was like, yeah, let's
Be Tom
please,
Cruise's
maybe I
son.
can be Tom Cruise's son, you know? Maybe if like Salma Hayek plays the mom, I could be Tom Cruise's son, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know, like that was the time. It was a different time. I've seen so much growth. And I would like to say this, I mean, like, I think that without the work and pressure of Black women in America, what they've done for representation and for their culture and ultimately for all of us.
Yeah, for real.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's an Asian wave that's happening in
Yeah.
Hollywood right now,
Yeah.
and it's completely would not exist without Black women.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree with you.
And so
1000%.
things will change eventually, you know? And like now what we need is like 1 million writers.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say next. Is like writers.
We need writers,
matter.
guys. Seriously, like
need
that's
writers
the
to
first
write
step.
these parts.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to like, oh, we want representation. It's like casting directors aren't going to do that unless they have parts that they can cast, and they need to be
Exactly.
written by people who have had those experiences. So you want to talk about representation
People of color.
on screen and stuff
writing.
like that? That's
Yeah,
important.
people
Of
of
course it
color
is.
writing is
But
like-
people of color writing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they're
it.
writing, people of color writing about people of color.
Yes.
That's what needs to
And by
happen.
the way, to me,
Yeah.
my perfect
If
world
you want
is
a job
that.
right now,
Yeah.
if you need a shout out,
Hey,
go
what's
get
up?
that job.
Go get that job right
Do
now.
it. Because to be honest, like, I'm going to be honest about Hollywood a little bit right here. If, as a brown person, if I wanted to make a film and get a film made that wasn't about brownness, my chances go down dramatically. As a brown person, my artistic merit to the industry begins and ends with my racial identity, and that's fucking wrong.
It only
I have
has
more
this
I have
narrow-
more stories to tell. I have way more stories to tell that are not about my brownness, and I want to
Exactly.
tell those stories.
Yeah.
Brown person, you just make a film about how it's an immigrant story, and your dad didn't really like that you didn't go to medical school,
Yeah.
and like that's the only
Yeah.
story that brown people are allowed to
Yeah.
tell, and it's like, well, no, I want to tell a different story. Young brown people to be able to look at me and go, oh shit, I don't have to do specific stuff. I
Yeah.
can just do whatever actually moves me as an artist. I can move in that direction. Amazing.
And moving to that, I want to talk about you as an author now. And you've written something that is from your own narrative.
Sure, right.
But also,
This
you're-
this is interesting because
Yeah.
like this is like 100% from my
Yeah,
narrative. It's the
that's
story
it.
of our family. yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you also explored and spoke to other folks that are also mixed as well and identify with different identities.
Sure.
The only struggle I've really had was how do I identify myself as a Punjabi, South Asian, Canadian woman? You know what I mean?
That's a mix too.
And that is a mix, but it's just like its own, struggle in that way.
Cultural
But then when I
mixes.
see my, friends that are going through a whole different experience, like even my cousins are half Punjabi, half Italian, and that's a whole different experience for
In
them.
their
I will
DNA.
I will
Yeah.
never understand truly what they're experiencing on a day-to-day
Sure.
basis. Why was it so important for you to do it in the way you did it? Because visually, the book is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Just wanted to hear more about your process throughout this whole experience.
Two things can be true at the same time. Like I'm a brown man,
Yeah.
but I'm also a mixed man, and I'm as equal those amounts, and I'm also a white person. Like literally, I'm all three of those things in complete equality. And that's a weird concept for people to put in. Just like you're Canadian
Yeah.
and Punjabi and a woman and whatever your
Yeah.
labels are,
Yeah.
you're all. It's not like it doesn't consume a pie chart and like you're more this than I am that.
Yeah.
It's like that's not the way you should look at it.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all the bars are full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
all the same level. And we turn knobs
Yeah.
down all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you are in a Punjabi space, you're turning your knob down. If you're in more Canadian space, you're
Yeah.
turning that knob up. Like we're adjusting all the time. Mixed people are more confronted with this idea because literally like it's not even just like in our DNA, but within our families. With your interacting with different family members and different sides of your family, you're learning those knobs really quick,
really early.
really early.
Yeah.
What I realized with being mixed is like all of us don't feel enough of one thing, or we feel too little of another for certain groups. All mixed people feel that we are at some point made to choose a side. You know,
Right.
all mixed kids are cute and get lots of likes on Instagram until like they're about 8. And then it's like, okay, now make a decision.
Choose a side.
And which is fucked up, right? And so, first of all, the poem started with me writing about my own mixedness, and honestly, it went sort of badly because I wasn't having conversations. It was all internal, and then I was like, okay, let's open this up. So I started interviewing people over, again, social media. This is the great thing about it. It's just like, hey, so mixed people, if you feel acutely mixed or whatever that is, email us. And Ketan set up the email, and we
Talk to a lot of people.
sorted through thousands of emails. I mean, it's crazy. People really wanted to talk about this.
Oh my God.
And that was a really cool experience.
Because they're starving for it, you know?
Right. And they're like, and they feel left out of the conversation because like they want to have this conversation, but there's no one to have it with.
Right.
You know? Because like, oh, I have to wait for an Indian, Irish, English person to have the exact same conversation.
Right.
It's like, no, that's actually me and a Chinese Nigerian guy have very similar experiences. So I was like, oh, if I can open up the umbrella of what being mixed is, then maybe me and the Chinese Nigerian guy and the Filipino Italian guy can all feel closer together, you know, and we can have a community based on our shared experience, and our shared experiences equals cultures. So this is the conversation we are going to start having. Because of globalization, there's going to be more and more mixed people. And more mixed feelings about it.
Mixed feelings.
You know what I mean? And so like, you know, like, hey, maybe it's too early. Maybe the book's too early.
No,
maybe I should have released it in like 10 years.
No, but it's gonna be like this Bible by then, you know what I mean?
Well, that's funny. Like people
hey.
came up to me, like literally, they're like, I've got something, you know, like mixed couples in their 30s. Like I've got something I can give my kids.
And that's,
you know?
that's a really special thing.
And that's insane. Like who's saying that about a book that you, I mean, that's weird.
That's important.
Like, mixed feelings only came about because of Rupi.
Oh.
And this, truly.
Yeah.
Sis.
What's up,
Shout out
Rupi?
to- shout out to
Yeah.
Rupi.
Wow, my voice slowly.
It's starting to go. I can
Yeah.
Cha.
What was
Drink
really
your
beautiful.
cha.
Yeah,
Beta,
it's
drink your cha.
I'm a fake. I'm drinking water.
Oh,
I'm
fake.
just joking. What is the weirdest habit your sibling has?
Oh,
I
know yours.
Oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
You go first.
No, you go first. I think about this.
When you chew your food, you do this thing where you from afar you can't hear it, but if you get close to you, when we're sitting next to each other, I'm like, I can hear the.
About food. I knew it was gonna be about food, but I thought it was gonna be the fact that I eat every single one of my.
Oh, it's that's too, but that's a personal journey for you. That's fine. The other one that requires.
I should change.
The other one is like imposed on some other people.
Yeah,
So it's
sure,
like, I gotta hear
yeah.
that shit. The other one, I just see it and I go, that's funny that you do that.
Was it annoying?
What
Was
is
the
it?
word
What do
of
you
the-
do?
Yeah, the other thing I eat each individual thing on my plate. I don't mix.
And I make fun of him because I don't really get that. I like the idea of like mixing
likes
it.
to make
I
the perfect bite on
Don't
one.
mix them. Just there's like a way to eat
You buy a little
food
bit, put a little bit of
that's
that
more
with this.
interesting with different style. Like, you're missing out a whole complex of eating that other people are enjoying.
Think about your habit. Your unplugging of everything, but when you leave the house.
Oh yeah.
What?
But my man runs through the house unplugging toasters. He's unplugging lamps.
Why are you unplugging?
He's
You can thank my father for this.
He's like
'Cause
worried of
my
some sort of
dad-
weird electrical fire.
My
He's
dad.
like,
I don't know, man. This is like a generational anxiety. Fear
it's like
of
passed down
something,
into your
passed
soul.
down into my
Nobody
soul.
goes. He just unplugs shit all around the house.
I do like a final shutdown of the house before I go. But this is a bit of an
We're
exaggeration.
and by the way,
this is a bit of an exaggeration.
I'm like, we gotta go, bro. We have a flight. He's like unplugging shit.
Yeah, it's a bit of an exaggeration. The toaster's not involved, but there are other things like
Like the refrigerator,
the computers. They have to go.
Like why?
Really?
Yeah, they unplugged it.
I don't know why. One day I just was like, that's what I do. That's that.
What I do, I can't
I think
do
it's
that.
great. I think it's such it's a really interesting personality quirk. There's a reason why he does music, because he has to sit there and like work out what that snare is gonna sound like and like adjust it for like 6 hours straight. So that what makes you good at that also makes you go run around the house and plug stuff.
What was one embarrassing obsession of each other's childhood?
You really wanted to play with Playmobil all the time.
Yeah? Oh yeah, I
Playmobil.
did, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so there's this one time, okay.
You
so-
really like
yeah.
you would come in and be like, you drag me from other rooms.
So here's the
and
thing, you understand? I'm 18 months younger than him, right? So we would play, to be fair, we would both play
we would
Playmobil
all play
together.
But I was more of like again, back to the solo, isolated sort of. I was like, I'm gonna do
solo-mish.
this thing on my own and build my own stories.
But then what happened was he got 13 and I was like 12. And all of a sudden he's a grown-ass person
Yeah.
at 13. And I was like, let's play Playmobil. He's like, no, I don't want to play Playmobil. I'm like, we just played Playmobil
So
like
he would bug me all
6
the
months
time.
ago. And I remember this one time that my mom was like, we gotta go. We have to, you know, parents like,
Yeah.
you know, they're trying like, we gotta go. We have to go do this thing, doctor, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, let's go. And then I came up to her and I took her. And I was like, Mom, this is like the last time he's ever gonna play Playmobil. He's gonna be too old.
Oh
We're never gonna play Playmobil.
Yeah.
And it genuinely was the last time we played Playmobil
Yeah.
together.
Wow.
I
I
was like,
wish I
Mom.
brought it here and make you guys play right
I
now.
know, right? Just put some guys
I
up
would
on the
love
floor.
that, bro. I would love that. We have all that Playmobil
It's
still.
all sitting in like the storage somewhere, and
Yeah.
we
could whip it
yeah,
out.
whip it out
Yeah,
and play
just
around
do a
with it.
little
That'd
one
be hilarious.
video.
And
By the
I-
way, in 6 months, I didn't give a shit about Playmobil. I was like playing video
you
games.
had gone
and-
through that version.
Yeah, I was only 6 months behind this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
How can people find you?
all over the internet. I'm on all of it. So AvanJogia.com is the new shout. You can get, if you subscribe to our email list, we'll send you stuff.
We're also on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere you find music for St. Ivory and Kay.
Y'all got Google. Why are you asking
Yeah.
me where to
That's
find
it.
me?
You
Yeah,
find
yeah,
it,
You guys
right?
have Google.
Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I love
Thank
y'all.
you.
So good.
Appreciate you too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Till next time, y'all. How are you gonna?
You okay, fam?
You good?
You good?
You
Yeah.
know the
Yeah,
tongue
yeah.
situation.
I
Your
know.
tongue
Yeah.
gets too big.
Yeah.
I got my tongue.
Happens.
Dude, I'm doing poetry every day, and I'm like, my tongue's too big. Why
That's
why
it.
is my tongue so
That's
big?
a problem.
I can
That's a
really
real-
feel it.
I know.
I can feel my tongue. It's a real thing.
Things we shouldn't say. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, rate, share. Do all the things that people do on the internet. We love you. Till next time.